Welcome to Envision More. Here, we dig deep into the insights of first-generation wealth builders, unearthing stories of passion, resilience, and relentless vision. Your host is Wayne Wagner Jr., founder of Visionary Wealth Management. So sit back and dig in. It's time to envision more.
Hi, this is Wayne Wagner, president of Visionary Wealth Management. This is the Envision More podcast, where we are talking to first-generation wealth builders and helping them think multi-generationally to accelerate what we put into our kids and what we give to our kids. Today, we are really privileged because May and I have been just so blessed to partner with some young, energetic entrepreneurs who are building great things. And Justice Volz is one of those guys. Justice and his brother Josh are the managing partners of Liberty Entertainment. And we're going to hear a bit about that story today. But Justice is a guy that I've been watching for over a decade at this stage and been partners with him for half a dozen years or so. And it has been a pleasure to get to know him, see his journey. And listen, the young entrepreneurial journey is not all unicorns and rainbows. And we're going to talk a little bit about that, because if we're going to accelerate how we think and accelerate wealth, we've got to be realistic that it's not all unicorns and rainbows. There's going to be some rough patches, and we want to train our kids right. So Justice, welcome. We are joined again by the infamous Trent Booth, who's a coach and mentor of mine, and his Team Veritas leadership group coaches many of the teams that we are involved with here at Visionary. So we're grateful to have Trent moderating for us, joining in and adding value. So thank you guys for being here.
My pleasure. Yeah, always good to be with you guys. Excited to dive into your story, Justice.
Thanks for having me, guys. I feel a little ill-equipped here, but I guess if the purpose here is to envision more for this journey, and I am in the raw stages of the journey, at least as it compares to probably most of the people you are having on this podcast, I'm excited to share from my perspective.
Yeah, we're going to have we have guests who are much farther down the road than you, Justice. Folks that are in their 50s and 60s and 70s have got a lifetime experience. But some of these early episodes, we want to make sure that we capture the story, because, hey, we're going to be doing these podcasts 5 years from now, 7 years, 10 years from now. We want to be able to have you back and hear the story, because a glorious part of the podcast format is it's not like writing a book. It's not a moment in time where you've got to collect everything from the last 10 years. We can mark the moment, mark the journey, talk about the milestones and the things that we are learning right now, and then come back in a few years and talk again. And it's all new content. It's all new, all new stuff, which is great. So
sure. Yeah. Then the next time I'm on 10 years from now, Justice Volz, his recovery from bankruptcy. Hopefully not. Hopefully it's a much more promising milestone.
My name's on some of that too, brother. So.
Yeah, that's right. If I'm going down, you're coming down with me. So let's keep that from happening.
Yeah, indeed. So, Justice, I said I've been watching you and for over a decade at this stage, but one of my first interactions with you, and I want to dig a bit into your story, but was when we showed up at youth camp. It was our first youth camp, I think, and you had a broken foot because you had been horsing around and playing football and broke your foot going into youth camp. But you and Josh and a handful of others have run youth camp for Sovereign Grace Church, our church, for years and years and years. You've been integrally involved, and I think that was a little early in your stage of evolution. But can you maybe walk us through a little bit of your journey, and in particular, I'm interested to see how some of those skills you really developed administrating large-scale events like that really parlayed into some of your journey and where you are now. I want to dig into that a little bit, because that wasn't typical, like go to classroom, get a degree, and go into a job in your field. Although you did that too, yeah,
right.
But, and then moved away from it. So
yeah, it's interesting you say that. I was talking with a networker for a local group of Christian CEOs in South Jersey that Trent actually connected with me with a couple days ago, and So we were giving one another our stories, and tapped into really what you're just hitting on now, that my start or my foundation in regards to administration, leadership, creativity. I like to use the word production because I think of myself as a creative or an artist, but I can't draw or photograph or do anything categorically artistic. Yet I feel like my art is creating the whole of something and producing all the pieces together into one experience. And whatever that is for me now, I've sort of discovered that's just called entrepreneurship. And but I like to use the word production in that. And I do attribute the opportunities I had just in a local church environment to lead and administrate and create and produce as a big part of how I gained some of my skills, unlocked some of my passions, and just my natural, what we would refer to as in the church environment, my natural gifting, just who I was created to be and how I was created to thrive and function. And so just a little bit of that history in our church. I don't know if he'll ever see this or acknowledge this in any way, but our youth pastor at the time, Tim Wolf, was a really passionate and gifted trainer of leaders. And so he did that with people at a very young age. And so he would identify those who really had an eagerness to get involved or learn or lead in certain ways, and was really bold and cutting edge in the length of leash that he was giving to fairly young folks to lead and create things. So I think as early as 13, 14, 15 years old, I was being given responsibilities to lead a music night or lead a discussion night. When I was 16, me and a group of friends were tasked with leading our community yard sale event, which was both a fundraiser and a community engagement event, where we had to plan marketing. We had to advertise in the paper and on websites. None of us had our licenses, so we got one of our moms to drive us around South Jersey with flyers we had printed, running into Whole Foods and Starbucks and different coffee shops, asking to put flyers on their bulletin boards. And we didn't know what we were doing. We were 15, 16 years old. But when you're tasked with something like that, it's a fairly safe environment, right? It's not, okay, I just got $250,000 in seed money, I have to run this startup or we fail. When you're 16 years old, it's a church environment, but you're given this ability to, or this opportunity to lead this event. That was a really cool experience because it was a safe way to learn things that worked and things that didn't.
We call that bowling with bumpers.
What's that?
We call that bowling with bumpers.
Yes, exactly. That's right. And the cool part about it is being, as the three of us all go to church together and share our common faith experiences, is that Tim, our youth pastor, was building into us not entrepreneurial skills, but he was building into us how we use who we were naturally created to be to give to the things that matter to us. And so ultimately, is that not what we're all here doing, right? To different degrees, and whether it be the wealth that we generate for the things that matter most to us, or the talents we use for the things that matter most to us. And so that has just been so pivotal in everything I've gone on to do. Yeah, we need to make money and pay the bills. But I have learned first and foremost to use who I was created to be to help support the things that matter to me the most. And so in this case, it was our church community recognizing us and welcoming in the community in different ways, our youth ministries and events and camps, which, although we believe the content was necessarily more or the program wasn't necessarily the most important thing. The content was. The program was an opportunity to love and serve our church community that I grew up in and was passionate about. And so those skills were absolutely paramount as it came to leading creative teams, coming up with new ideas, running with limited budgets. Was really helpful. I think if your only experience is you go right through school to an MBA, you're only ever dealing with theoretical budgets. And so then you get to the real world and you go, okay, I have $500. And so I need to be creative here.
And payroll's 27,000.
Right, exactly. And so in some senses, I can't imagine how you actually pursue entrepreneurship without some kind of unique foundational experience like that, because there are so many twists and turns along the way that to have that sort of stereotypical path to entrepreneurship would seem almost too daunting a task. The other just quick caveat to this that adds to this is that I was also homeschooled K through 12. And so not only did I have this unique church environment with a youth pastor who was training us and giving us opportunities to lead, but I had an educational environment where I could wake up early, do my school in 2 or 3 hours, and then commit my whole day to coordinating an event or doing research on this or that. And so I personally have become passionate about, once again, if you're in school 9 hours a day and doing homework 3-4 hours a day, where's the room to learn these skills and to try and fail and bowl with bumpers and, pursue what you're good at, what you're passionate about, what you were created to thrive in. And so I definitely have a unique background or a unique upbringing. And I can't imagine how I would have gotten where I am now without that.
Yeah, I just did an interview with Leah Chips, which is a young lady from our church who's 15 years old. And I challenged her to read 100 books this year, and she killed it. She crushed it. She read 100 books and wrote a 2-page book report on every one for me and did it in about 11 and a half months. So 10 and a half months. So, but she's homeschooled, and she said she would read for 2 or 3 hours in the morning and 2 or 3 hours at night. And so that's not a typical schedule that if you're going to school 9 hours a day. And so that question of schooling structure, and I think I just saw a number not long ago that said that 30 years ago there were 200,000 kids homeschooled in this country. Today there's only over 5 million. And so that's something that is in the world of remote workforce, in a world where technology is cracking the peanut, as it were, open on how education is done. I think that there's more families than ever looking at different modeling of school, and with technology and that kind of thing, there's more opportunity to pursue homeschool and open up other opportunities.
Yeah.
Now you didn't. I mean, you finished high school and then you went to college, and I mean, I was expecting to meet the stud Justice, Nurse Justice, when I went into the ER at some point in my life. So, but that didn't pan out. So walk us through that. What was the decision or thought process that took you into nursing, and then ultimately what was the transition out of nursing?
Yeah. Yeah, so I went to Rutgers Nursing School, got my bachelor's of science in nursing, and I think I was maybe growing up too quickly for my own good. And so part of this is being homeschooled, having leadership opportunities in our church environment, being the youngest of 3 children, with my closest sibling being 9 years older than me. There were just all of these factors going into me growing up. So while my peers might have been, when they had family night, playing computer games or board games with their younger siblings, I was sitting around with the 4 adults in my family, essentially talking about adult things and career paths and finances. And so I was just growing up quickly. And so as I started to, I graduated high school fairly early. So I was 16 when I finished all of my high school requirements. And in my mind, it was simply look at what I'm going to finish high school when I'm 16. I'm going to jump right into a 4-year program. By the time I'm 21 years old, I will be graduated, making X amount of dollars and working 3 days a week. So I just felt like I had this unbelievable plan in place. Yeah. And it's funny, you now see the entrepreneurial spirit in it, not in being a nurse is really the least entrepreneurial thing you could probably ever do. But you could see the spirit in it, in that what I was motivated by was, I'll only have to work 3 days a week. It won't be the same 5 days. I can mix up my schedule. There was already this innate hatred for the 9 to 5 that in my mind, nursing was this hack that you don't have to do 9 to 5. You could do Monday, Saturday, Sunday, and go away Tuesday through Friday. So you could already see in that the seedlings of a desire to be an entrepreneur. And it was just coming out in the only stereotypical career path that I knew of that kind of hacked away from the 9 to 5. So,
go ahead, Trent.
You're going to trade 9 to 5 for 7 to 7 on
Right.
those days.
Yeah, right. Right.
I don't want to go to school 8 hours a day, but I'll work 16-hour shifts nursing.
Yeah, right. Well, the thing is I never, and once again, isn't this true of all entrepreneurs? Find me a person that can work harder than me when I'm committed to something. You know, I have no problem grinding harder than anyone in the room. I just need to believe in what I'm doing to some degree, which I think is both a strength and a weakness, right? I really admire people who can just work because they believe that work is good and designed by God. And so they work hard. And I actually see it as something I want to grow in, that hard work needs to thrive even when I'm not amped up for what I'm doing. But at the same time, I also see it as a unique attribute that work doesn't feel like work when it's something I can put my passion behind, which is just a really awesome thing to have. And, you know, some people will, if it's work, they will never be happy in it. And that can be painful to watch. There's something so fun about being so excited about what you're doing, that is a real blessing to have that in work. So there's
two things that you said there that I want to pull out. I want to go back to. One of them is, as a leader, we never ask our people to do something we're unwilling to do, and we never expect them to work harder than us, right? And that's virtually every successful entrepreneur lives, breathes that ethos. And I think that we all have. I mean, one of my maintenance guys, James Casaboom, we had a situation where we got a call from a renter one time, and there was 8 inches of water from a burst pipe in a crawl space, and there was 8 inches of snow on the ground, and somebody had to go down that hole. And we talked to the renter, got the hot shower going, and I told James, this time it's mine, next time it's yours. And that went in the hole. So that was but to your point, you're bringing that point to bear, that, you know, you're going to be the hardest working guy in the room, because we can't expect somebody who doesn't own the business to work as hard as we are as the ones who own the business. That's what leaders do. They show up, right?
Yeah. And Wayne, I don't know if you've gotten here at certain times or certain seasons, but part of my fundamental belief in that is that doesn't have to be true for every day for the rest of your life. Meaning, part of what I want to do is put in the work in seasons, so that I can show my team, right? For those listening right now, Wayne's son Bryce is working with me, interning with me full time, and right now I want to stay longer and work harder and set the pace and lay the foundation. But I also trust that there will be seasons where I say, hey, Bryce, you've seen what I've given, what I've put in. Now I want you to see me step back, prioritize my wife and kids, and give you an opportunity to step in and sort of, show the example and lay the foundation. So I found some freedom in discovering that, because I think if my wife and the people in my life outside of the direct work day to day knew that my daily priority forever was to always be the first in and the first out, that I actually wouldn't be leading in all of our values. I would only be leading in the value of the work ethic. And so the ability to do the hard things, to work the longest, but also say, hey, look at my priorities in other ways, look at the other things I'm passionate about, and look at the necessity of balance, right? You can't work 18 hours a day every day. Your body won't let you, unless you're Elon Musk. These people who claim they sleep 3 hours a day and work 21 hours a day.
Right.
And so,
and so there's two elements there. One is sprint slow, right? So there's seasons where we've got to sprint, we've got to dig in, we got to go hard, and then there's a season for everything, and that means going slow too. There's a reason my wife and I have walked on beaches on multiple continents in the world. It's because we sprint. When we're going, we go. But when it's time to slow down, it doesn't mean go to Disney World for a week and kill yourself for 7 days straight. It means even if we're going to go to Disney World, it's a day on, a day off, a day on, a day off.
Right.
Because you can't come home from vacation more tired than when you left.
Right.
Because that doesn't prepare you for the next sprint.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah. And
go
part
back
of
for a
that
second.
Go ahead, Trent.
Eventually, I want to just come back to, hey, you're going to be a nurse, and then all of a sudden there's a left turn. So continue there, but we definitely want to come back to that.
Yeah. So in the, I sort of gave the growing up too quickly, jumping into nursing, and just so unbelievably foolish now, because I see a 17-year-old now and think, they are. In my mind, a 17-year-old is still on baby food and diapers. It's just a 17-year-old looks so young to me now. But when I was 17,
feel old at 17.
Your face hasn't changed since you were 17, except for that mustache, Justice. Come on,
mustache, man. Have to do it. I too many times still being carded or asking what school I go to. And this is my 5-year-old daughter, so I'm not in high school anymore. So the sad part of this is my freshman year, I only applied to one school, applied to Rutgers Nursing, nowhere else. And that's how confident I was. So freshman year, when I'm like, I don't like this. I was good at science, good at math. I don't like this at all. This is really boring. I'm so bummed I chose this route, but it's too late now. As a 17-year-old, when most of my peers are still in high school, and I'm sitting here saying, well, my plan was to graduate college at 21. It's too late now. I can't pivot.
Gary Vaynerchuk is telling 50-year-olds, you got plenty of time left.
Exactly. Just absolutely crazy. I was paying for school myself. So even every credit hour that was wasted felt like, well, it's too late now. There's nothing I can do. So went all the way through school, every year feeling it stronger and stronger. I don't like this. This isn't fun. Hospitals depress me. They smell gross. People claim that scrubs are comfortable. I don't understand that at all. At least now they see there's all this different kind of scrub companies. But when I was in school, scrubs were all a non-stretchy, like sheet-like material. So there's certain ways you simply can't bend because the fabric has no give in it. And I was sweaty and it did not fit my body at all. And I just felt gross, was uncomfortable. I got an internship before my senior year working at a hospital in Delaware, which is about an hour and a half commute, working overnights on a floor where, to spare you the details, there was a lot of body fluids and not a lot of creative nursing and medical elements, just a lot of cleaning up horrible things. And so when I graduated, I got a job on that floor working overnights. And two things. One, this hospital was not 3 12s. It was 3 12s and an 8 every week. Well, in a 2-week period, it was 6 12s and an 8. So I ended up, I'm now working 7 shifts. I'm commuting an hour and a half each way. It was an intense enough floor that I'm getting there 30 minutes early to take notes on my patient load. And so you get to the point where I am leaving the house at 5 p.m. and getting home at 9 a.m. And it's the daytime, and I'm not good at sleeping during the day. And had also just started dating a girl. And so we were hanging out during the day, and I was just going weeks at a time, not sleeping. And one night in particular, I was tasked just with, it's called being a 1-to-1, where I had to oversee, like stay in the room with a patient, but the lights were dim and they had this soothing music playing so that the patient could sleep. And I hadn't slept in days. And it was the most torturous 12 hours I have ever experienced. Just every second felt like a lifetime. Right. Fighting to keep just smacking myself, pacing back and forth, whatever it took.
Sounds like something out of a Bond movie. Put you under that, and then if you fall asleep, the world ends or something.
Oh my goodness!
Describing hell. This just sounds so horrible.
Oh, so terrible. Now, and keep in mind what you guys know of me.
Right.
Passionate, creator, leader. Let's go. Energized. And
lock you in a room with nobody else, and
right. And so I just it was just miserable.
So how did you escape the hands? Almost like in poker, you've got the sunk cost fallacy like entrenched. You're pot committed, and you got away from the hand. How did you pivot out of that? That's crazy.
Yeah. So my brother and I ended up playing something called an escape room, like a puzzle room. And we had a ton of fun. And at the time, escape rooms were pretty homemade, pretty DIY. And so we did it and thought, shoot, we could totally do this. We could totally do that. It doesn't seem like it'd be very expensive. But of course, I had a job. My brother had a job. But my brother was working on a contract with a nonprofit that was coming to an end. I was a nurse. And so the thought was, okay, well, when your contract ends, I have some time and flexibility here. We should just do this as a small little side thing. It'll be great. So we ended up doing some research, forming an LLC. My dad took out a small line of credit on his house, and we signed a small lease for a place in Philly. And just when we started to build it out, the girl I was dating at the time broke up with me the day after Christmas, and I took it really hard. I was really struggling, and I was living with my parents. Living with my parents at the time, and I said, "Screw it, I'm quitting my job, and let's just dive right in." So, thank you to her for forcing me into a drastic decision. Because it really ended up.
We need a new M for that, Wayne. We have mentors, but we don't have a word for what that is.
Yeah, right.
After Christmas, that's fantastic.
Whatever that is, that spark that got me to quit my job and jump into entrepreneurship. Never looked back. So
that's a milestone. We got it.
Yeah,
we got it.
From there, we started that business. We started another escape room on the Ocean City Boardwalk.
So what year is this? Help us track here.
This is 2017.
Wow. Okay.
We'll fly through these next couple of years. Went gangbusters on the Ocean City Boardwalk that year. Pursued Wayne. Let the record show that before we went to my dad for a line of credit, we went to Wayne and said, "Hey, Wayne, we have this idea." And Wayne very prudently said, "Well, I believe in you guys. I've seen all you can do, but I'd like to see you start or create something, and then come back to me." Well, we went out and in our first 9 months generated a couple $100,000 in profit, and went back to Wayne and said, "Well, Wayne, we took your homework assignment and we're ready to jump to the next level." So Wayne ended up investing at that point, and we signed a number of new leases on the boardwalk. Too many, foolishly, thinking that we were untouchable. Ended up starting a number of failing concepts involving virtual reality.
We've done one thing twice really successfully, but for sure we can do anything successfully then, right?
Yes, correct. And we had only done it for about 90 days. So unfortunately, we got very involved with virtual reality and very expensive equipment when we were using technology that cannot touch the $200 headset you could go get it at Walmart right now. Right. Of course, at the time, we didn't know that. We should have had the foresight. So
the insanity there with Justice is that look how fast that happened, right? We literally spent 6 figures on a piece of technology that within a year you could buy a $500 headset and it was better than what we were putting on.
Yeah, right. And now that $500 number has been halved twice. Right. And so failed there, failed again. Actually went back to the well with virtual reality once or twice with another 6-figure check. Ended up realizing escape rooms continued to work. And so we said, okay, well, I think we have our little chunk of entertainment ironed out. So we got into food service, ended up using our leases, converting them into franchise with Ben & Jerry's, and then franchised with Cinnabon and Annie Ann's. And that ended up being more profitable. A different kind of work. Food service is harder. And at the time we thought, oh, finally, we're out of technology and all these technical errors. Food service will be so much more straightforward. Then you get into food service and you realize, oh man, food service is hard. Fast forward a little bit later, we opened up some more food service concepts, and then really the what has kind of revolutionized Liberty Entertainment as a whole is Wayne, and actually Wayne's son Bryce delivered this opportunity on a silver platter to get involved with a high-end sunglass retailing chain along the Jersey Shore and down other parts of the East Coast that wanted to sell their front-end operations to us. And Wayne called me the morning before Thanksgiving and said, hey, what do you think about sunglasses? I said, Wayne, you're out of your mind. We're already opening 2 more stores. We don't know anything about sunglasses, but sure, give the guy our email and see if he'll send us. He sent us a proposal, and my brother and I just texted ourselves like, hey, this is a pretty good deal. We might need to look into, what it's going to take to not pass this up. And so we did.
And your first reaction was my first reaction, because Bryce brought it to me and said, hey, we need to talk.
Right.
And started laying it out. And I'm like, I don't know one damn thing about sunglasses, dude. Right. I buy mine at the truck stop for $11.
Right. It goes to show, if you talk about envisioning more, it goes to show the power of a young imaginative mind, because we're all going, if Bryce had the same thought we did, then it never would have made it to the table. Right. And so his willingness to bring it to you, your willingness to hear him and bring it to me, my willingness to hear you and agree to entertain it, was all a piece to the puzzle. And so we ended up getting together with Wayne and figuring out a way to make it happen, worked 6 months on an acquisition, took over and on June 8th. And then long story short, we went from 4 to 14 stores in the span of under 2 months. That was over the last 6 to 8 months. And so now just kind of going over that, all of those points where there were failures, where we had to decide to go further in, where we were faced with uncertainty, I sort of brushed over all that. And those were the milestones, but that doesn't happen without Wayne's mentorship and partnership, because at a number of those times, and Wayne knows some of this, but might not even know all of this, just a number of these times, there are internal conversations with my brother of, all right, well, this is obviously the tipping point. We obviously need to be done. We've failed too much. We've gone too deep. There's no way out at this point. And just time and time again, meetings with Wayne, where Wayne is just inspiring us on a new level of resiliency. And so while we feel like, okay, we have obviously experienced failure beyond, you read these stories about entrepreneurs who fail and then get back up, but this is beyond that. We've gone too far. And it was really Wayne's mentorship to say, no, this is the entrepreneurial experience. And the people who make it are not the ones who make it without failure. They're the ones who make it in spite of this kind of failure. And so let's be that. Let's be those kinds of entrepreneurs and be that kind of organization. And I mean, granted, Wayne was able to bring experience and financial security to that, which is a great part of having partners with more resources and more experience. But I'm confident that if Wayne didn't have a penny to contribute, his tone would have been the same. It wasn't his resources that made his mentorship valuable. It was what he was coaching us to do and the resilience he was inspiring in us that allowed us to keep pushing forward to where we are now. And the reality is we're not out of it. Every day in our current operation, we have gone into a lot of debt to do what we're doing. And so a lot of our operation still requires that same degree of resilience, but now it doesn't feel foreign. Now the resilience just feels, okay, we have trained ourselves with Wayne's mentorship and now with Trent's coaching. We are training ourselves to continue to be resilient and to build the infrastructures necessary to push forward. And what used to feel so daunting and so scary now just feels like what we've signed up for. And getting
the Japanese proverb says, fall down 7 times, get up 8.
There we go.
So you're describing here this, Wayne calls it getting punched in the face or scraping your knees and kind of figuring stuff out, which is, yes, the entrepreneurial experience. Just in case any of you have illusions at home listening, right? It's not just all straight lines. It's hard, but also I hear you saying that that's part of the reason why we're succeeding now is we did have those difficult experiences. I'm curious, Wayne, I want to hear a little bit more about the shades, opportunity there from Justice, but also Wayne, you've got these 2 young guys that, don't have necessarily entrepreneurial training
Right.
or prototypical experience even that would necessarily signal to you that, hey, these are 2 guys I should get involved with. So how do Justice and Josh Volz start grabbing your attention beyond even youth camp? So you saw them in some context there, but what is it that you see of these guys that say, I'm going to spend hours with them and invest thousands?
Well, and no, it's a good question, Trent. But the production giftedness that I saw with Josh and Justice and experience, because youth camp for our church is not just a bunch of 12 to 14-year-olds. You're basically taking 12 to 18-year-olds and mom and dad for 4 days. And so that production team was orchestrating the content, the games, the teams, the competitions, the entertainment, the food, all of it for 4 days for 250 to 400 people at a time. Is that fair to say, Justice?
Yeah.
So,
give or take.
So, I mean, that's a production level. That's a level of production quality and experience that you simply don't see in guys in their 20s.
Right.
Or in Justice's case, he was 16, 17 when he was getting deeply entrenched in that. And so on my end, I'm looking at these guys. And so when they come to me and say, hey, we want to start an escape room, I'm like, the idea of taking all of that production experience of years of running youth camp and then putting together a customer experience that's going to be an hour long and you're going to charge somebody 25 or 30 bucks for. I think once you get the first couple hundred customers through the door, I think the message and the experience speak for itself at that point. Because we've had other experiences. May and I signed up with Josh and Justice. Our church came to us on Mother's Day in preparation for Mother's Day during COVID. Hey, what would it take to put a pint of Ben & Jerry's ice cream in every mom's hand right after church on Sunday during COVID when nobody's meeting at church? And Josh and Justice put together. So May and I sign up to be drivers. By the time we show up on Sunday to do this, to pick up the ice cream and do our 18 deliveries or whatever it was, they've got 8 to 10 drivers all doing a separate route. They have figured out exactly how many of each kind of the 3 kinds of ice cream, including gluten-free or milk-free or whatever options. They have we had gotten 4 emails with increasing levels of detail and instructions, including specific details of it's COVID. When you walk to the door, you will be wearing a mask. Knock on the door, step back 6 feet. Explain who you are. Here's the 2 sentences you need to explain who you are and why you're there. Open the thing you got the ice cream in and the cooler, and step back so that they can step out their door and like that level of detail. And that's been my every experience with these guys, is that production quality, that ability to, and once you can build that, like, first of all, I do not know how to train that. That's a level of detail that does not exist at Visionary Wealth Management. I have people on staff today who are writing things that level of detail, but I've run that business for 27 years without that level of detail. And so that's been my experience. And so to convert that into that experience into really what's a customer experience or a client experience, I don't see that as a big leap. It simply is empowering them and enabling them and envisioning them to make that leap and to say, hey, it's going to be okay. This is the right thing to do. And then, there's times we've got to back up. We've got to step back in, and we've got to step back in. I've got to step in and say, hey, it's okay, guys. I understand you fell off the motorcycle and you got some road rash on you, but this is the entrepreneurial journey, and it's not for the faint of heart. But if you're willing to grind for 10 years, you're going to buy a level of freedom and flexibility and ability to occupy yourselves with the things that really interest you. And that freedom will last the rest of your life. But the first 10 years sucks. And the first 3 to 5 are particularly challenging. So now we took a big, Josh and Justin took a huge step up this year with going from 4 to 14 locations is exponential growth through an acquisition, and it comes with all kinds of other stressors. And
largely unplanned, I would say completely unplanned acquisition. So by Thanksgiving, there was no runway or I would say even fund, right? It's not like we'd been socking away for a business that we're looking for. We go from like this opportunity presents, and Justice, I don't know if you know the connection. Bryce finds this because his best friend Jake Booth, my son, who's been working at Shades for 1.5 years at the distribution center. Well, the only reason Jake's there is Christy worked with Josephine Schwartz at Virtua for years,
right?
And we got that job. So we know that business that the Schwartzes had built for over 20 years, I believe.
Right.
And so what a crazy connection. The fact this all kind of just comes together, but then it's like, wait, and hurry up. So November of 22, it's not a thing. All of a sudden you've got 6 months to get this together, 6 months to get the plan, 6 months to get the transition all hammered out, details, moments where like, it's happening, not happening, not happening.
Yeah.
January 2023, it's not happening. All of a sudden later that week, it is happening. Walk us through a little bit of that roller coaster and impossible deal that got made and has been great for everybody, mostly ever since.
Right. So I'll share from my perspective, just because it's just a taste into the unique, like the unicorn creature that is Wayne Wagner.
You guys are crazy
when it comes to entrepreneurial vision and risk taking, and just what it, after 27 years of doing what he's been doing, to just think differently about the world and about business and about opportunities. So like I said, this day before Thanksgiving, so end of November, get this call, and okay, that sounds it. We like money-making opportunities, right? That's kind of
we like money.
If our skill is creating and producing and building, well, then it really doesn't matter what the industry is. It matters what the opportunity is. And so that's sort of our business model in a nutshell, right? I always say, well, I don't have any secret family recipes, so we need to buy someone else's and learn how to implement it. And so Wayne connects us. He said the former owner sends us an email presentation, and we look it over, and it seems pretty promising. So we're chatting back and forth with Wayne, and I think we got together with him once to talk with the seller, to talk about it briefly. And we said we'd spend a couple days over Christmas to think about it. And fast forward, my brother and I end up at a table at a diner with the entire Wagner family, because when the Wagners make big moves, they make it. Wayne has built his family in such a way that they make these decisions together. And so we basically sit down at a table with Wayne where they decide if we're going to do this, Wayne is going to, from my perspective, what can only be described as literal magic, and Wayne, whether you want to spare your following the details or not, is basically sits down and says, yeah, so here is my plan to generate over $1 million in free cash in the next 60 days so that we can fund part of this acquisition to get the lending possible to get this done in the next couple months. My brother and I, what? I'd like to generate $100 right now in the next 60 days.
It sounds, what you're describing sounds insane, and it's absolutely the conversation. And I remember talking with Wayne where he was like, this is what I'm going to do. And part of me, I'm a coach. I should be like, yeah, man, get at it. And I was like, are you sure?
Right.
Even if you could, should you? That's a massive outlay of energy. And then we still don't know how to administer this thing. Like, even just to get the moonshot of getting it, acquiring the business, we haven't spent the time even to talk about how to administer it.
Well, yeah, I mean, at the time it was all, could we pull this off? Can we get to acquisition day? I remember just walking out of Fulton Bank headquarters after we had signed the paperwork going, oh, shoot.
What just happened?
What did we just do?
We, like, as of 3 p.m. today, we own these businesses and it's June 8th. Like, we're in the summer season. I haven't even met all the staff. I don't even truly at that point still knew nothing about sunglasses. And we'd spend all the time getting to acquisition. There wasn't even time to learn the business.
Can we go back for a second to talk about Wayne? Walk us through that 60 days here, because this is very much part of the Shade story. But like, Wayne, even in your industry, they're like, what you did in that season, even you, I would ask, is it even repeatable? Is it a thing you could do again? Like, we're not planning that for quarter 1, 24.
Yeah. I would say no. It really was something that at the end of the day, that happened because 22 was such a nasty year and interest rates went up so far so fast that it cracked open a once in a generation opportunity for us to move a bunch of client money. And do absolutely unquestionably the right thing for our clients, which is what we will always do. That will always be our bias, whether it generates revenue or not. But this was a once in a lifetime opportunity, and it only presented itself because interest rates had shot up. And so it was an opportunity for us to substantially improve our clients sitting on what was tens of millions of dollars, and then generate commissions and revenue for Visionary that would fill this, that we can then parlay into the acquisition of Shades. So, but it was, and I've told that story in the industry a number of times, and I still have financial advisors who are like, I just don't see it. And I'm like, okay, so there was literally tens of millions of dollars that we had of client money that was parked in a product that was the top return for the client was 5%. And we were able to get them out of that product, put them in a new product that actually gave them 4 or 5% upside immediately. And then moving forward, their cap on their return was going to be 10% instead of 5%. So unquestionably,
amazing,
absolutely home run for the client, the right thing. We dream about trying to find opportunities where we can step change benefit for a client that way. And it just so happened to dovetail with the very season we were having this conversation. So, in our faith vernacular, we say things don't happen by accident. They're ordained by our Creator. And so this was one of those times where it was like, okay, the opportunity for Shades comes on, and I'm looking at it going, okay, well, realistically, it would take me probably 18 months to pull that money together. And then we suddenly had the opportunity to do it all within 60 to 90 days. So it was a huge opportunity. And
it deserves a movie, you guys. It's crazy what happened, and to have a front row seat for it, just to even get started. What an amazing mythology to kind of start with this company, guys. It really is. It's a miracle. That's not too strong a word here.
Yeah, it was, and I mean, we can't the series of things that went on to pull this off was and is, really fascinating to me. I mean, everything from Bryce going in to work in there, he ends up in the car with Mike Schwartz for the day. They talk through the business, and Bryce comes home and says, "Dad, we need to take a hard look at this." And I'm like, yeah, right. Okay. Sunglasses. Great. I know nothing of, I buy the cheap ones. Thank you. And then to find out that, no, this is a product that most people, in fact, most people that look like me have multiple sets of high-end sunglasses. Most people who are my socioeconomic and, demographic and whatever else. And it's something that, I just hadn't embraced, but, and a couple of the pairs I've got still get stuck in my hair. So, they're nice.
I just love the multi-generational, family-owned business. So this is a family business. The Schwartz family built this up over years, and they were looking to basically spin off the retail side of it, but still maintain the distribution. So we're still obviously connected to them. But, as Dad was kind of sunsetting away from the business that he had built and handed it over to his son, I love the fact, knowing the Schwartzes, that this is now in another family's hands that can continue to steward and shepherd that business well, and really be set up for the next generation. Justice, it's not just the stores. How many locations do we have, physical stores for 96 Shades right now?
We have so a lot are closed seasonally because we're heavy in the Northeast beach market, but we have 8 locations. 2 of them are open in Cape May, New Jersey, and Key West, Florida right now. We have 8 locations, but really the big thing that we're doing here is launching our online store. So when we looked at this opportunity, my brother has a screenshot saved to his phone from January where I said Shades Online will be the most lucrative thing we ever do. And pretty exciting. Now, yesterday at 3 p.m., we announced on social media the launch of our online store. We are launching, I don't know when this will air, but we are launching this Wednesday, December 13th. And pretty excited for what that will represent. My hope is we are filming this right before we launch. Wayne, as you're talking about 5-10 years from now, my hope is that we look at that online store. And it's not just having a place where people can go online to buy sunglasses. It's having a portal from which we can do all of these creative, exciting, entrepreneurial things because the product is there. There's something so fun about selling a product that is already universally valued. Whether it should be or not is not even the conversation I'm here, right? Whether a $600 pair of Gucci's should be a $600 pair of Gucci's is not for me.
It's a thing. Yeah.
How to leverage the fact that is a universally agreed upon value.
Sure.
And leveraging the opportunity we have to have that product and have the reputation of how to sell it and have the staff and the people who know the product and know how to sell it. Now going online, we have the ability to leverage that, not just with 8 specific beach towns, but throughout the entire country. And so that's just a really, really exciting opportunity, and definitely something that we saw when we were looking at the acquisition. That was part of the promising thing was, here is the value of these individual stores, but we are basically getting the goodwill value opportunity of this online gap in the market for free. And so the opportunity now to leverage that with continuing this family, with Wayne's son, Bryce, literally on the other side of this wall, doing work in preparation for our launch, is a really, my dad has been helping in the process. My nieces and nephews have been helping my kiddos are a little too young to help along the way, but it's fun to all be in this together and to have something we're all so excited about.
Well, yeah. And you think about that, Justice, from your dad, who's in his 60s, I'm in my early 50s. Josh is not 40 yet. You're
Close.
still, yeah. You're
49.
There you go. Yep.
We're getting them all.
Yeah. So you're 9 years younger than Josh. I think Josh's son is what, 11 or 12. And so, Bryce is 19, Jake Booth is 19, 20. So, we've got, really what equates to 3 generations of potential leadership and growth. And so that's what lights me up and really excites me, is because the opportunity that we have to build something that 50 years from now, members of our family will still be running this. Like
and that is, as you guys will see, the very top text. You cannot get any closer to the top of the screen on our website. It says family owned and operated. You hover over it and it says exactly what you just said: 3 generations of family owners.
Yeah.
That we are all actively, in the last month, both my dad and my nieces and nephews have done actual functional things to help the launch of this business. Not to mention the Wagners and the Booths. And it really is a family affair, which is really cool.
Yeah. And the idea that we will be able to create, sell a product, yes, but be able to create awareness and tell the story about the entrepreneurial journey. I think there's so much content on social media and so many people selling, real estate training programs and all that kind of stuff. There's, all this content sales, but nobody is actively walking the entrepreneurial journey with the people that they're mentoring. And so and that's what excites me about this, is the opportunity to mentor my kids. Frankly, the opportunity I have to expose Bryce and CJ on a regular basis to people of quality, of the quality of Josh and Justice Volz, of John and Judy Volz, and then the heart and passion of Jamie Finn, Josh and Justice's sister, who runs Foster the Family. And so it's not just making money, it's making money and making a positive dent in the universe. Because money, money, all it is really is just like bricks and mortar to a brick mason. It's just, money has no intrinsic value. It's what we build with it and what we experience with it that counts. So.
Yeah.
Justice, I know you're excited about the new brand. It's been Shades of New Jersey for years, and there's a rebrand. Walk us through that.
Yeah, sure. So, I guess I'll get more into the details, only because yesterday I filmed our 4-minute Our Story. Wow. Fortunately, this isn't airing today, so I'm actually sending that video. When I get off this call, I'm sending that video in an email to our staff, because most of them don't even necessarily know about the rebrand. And our staff, if I don't think many of them are big tattoo folks, but if they were, they would get shades tattooed somewhere on their body. Our staff, they love shades so much that when I was writing the script to this rebranding video, I was quaking in my boots. Like, how do I hit everything in the right way so so I think at one point I say, to be clear, this isn't a rebrand. This is a deepening of our brand.
Oh, that's cool.
And I'm trying to drive this. The spirit of our name change is that we are going from Shades, where we started as Shades of Stone Harbor, to now 96 Shades. And the spirit of it is that we are paying homage to our roots in recognition of our flagship store, which was on the iconic 96th Street in Stone Harbor. And so that's the spirit behind our rebrand. And so I actually end by, when I say the deepening of our brand, I say that we are so passionate about our roots and about the roots of our customer service and our customer experience, that we're taking that history and putting it right into our name so we never forget it. So I'm trying to honor our staff and our legacy in the rebrand. And it's been a really cool experience to not just change the name, but it's actually changed our design and our color palette and our vibe and our language. It's all about our history being at its core. And our staff would be the first to acknowledge this. What our brand is about helping, not just selling sunglasses. And we're not selling sex or status or elitism like a lot of these designer brands are. We are genuinely passionate about helping you find your perfect pair. So when you come in and deal with our salespeople, I genuinely can promise you that you will have that experience, that they will tell you if something doesn't fit. They will tell you if that lens doesn't meet what you're looking for, because we will accept returns. I mean, I literally refreshed our POS system yesterday and saw a $4,700 return. Someone came in and bought 3 full price pairs of Chanel's and returned them the next morning. And I didn't even question it, because I know, I just know that is so deeply ingrained in who we are, that is part of what we do. Is if you're not happy with what you bought last night, whether it's our policy or not, we're going to honor that. And so really cool opportunity to rebrand, because I'm new to the scene, right? And I have people who have been with us for a decade plus. So as I'm announcing this rebrand to the staff today, I'm excited to be able to announce it in a way that pays honor to all of them. Now, what we are announcing internally that we're not announcing externally, but to the Envision More listeners, they'll get the inside scoop, is that we bought the business and we bought the intellectual property. And our baseline knowledge in the acquisition is that shades is a general enough term that it can't be trademarked. And although people try, and there are all these trademarks that exist in different ways involving shades, because we were Shades of USA, and not just Shades in USA, but Shades of USA, sort of a Main Street to Wall Street play on words there, that we would be set. So we got through the summer. They've existed for 17 years, so there's no no sweat there. But as we're launching online, I say, hey, Josh, my brother, can we just meet with a trademark lawyer just to, I don't want to go online and then, because now we're not just New Jersey, we're the whole country. So I don't, sure enough, we meet with a trademark lawyer and he goes, yeah, I mean, Shades Sunglasses is trademarked. We're like, well, yeah, but we're Shades of USA. And he goes, well, are you Shades? Yeah. Do you sell sunglasses? Yeah. He goes, well, then cease and desist, my friend.
This is easy. This isn't happening.
There's you have 30 minutes with me. We could keep talking about it, or we could game plan. And so he's like, you got to change your name. I'm like, no, that my staff will quit. Our following will like our followers who love shades and spend literally 5 figures a year on sunglasses with us. We are Shades, and that's what makes this scary. Especially for our Stone Harbor demographic. Hence the sort of overselling the value of our Stone Harbor roots. And so as we're getting off, I said, okay, well, what about a loophole here? Shades is both a brand, but also a thing, right? Like shades or kicks, or kind of a, an informal word for a known thing. And so I said, well, what if we change the operative word so that we are a brand that sells shades rather than Shades that sells sunglasses? And he said, yeah, that could work. If there's precedent for your brand name, right? If it's Justice's Shades, that might not be enough. But if there's precedence for your brand name in other sectors, then it should be fine. So literally in 24 hours, just pedal to the metal brainstorming. It needs to be subtle. It can't overpower Shades. It needs to be strong enough that it could exist on its own without Shades. Otherwise, it won't be an operative word in the trademarking realm. And so we started with Stone Harbor Shades, and it's too nautical, it's too strong. Then 96th Street Shades. We thought, oh man, that's elegant and on point. A little wordy, and that 96th Street, that TH Street. And then I just typed it out in all caps, 96 Shades. And I thought that pays homage to our roots. It has meaning. It's strong, but not too strong. And it is going to usher us into a more modern digital age. And we trademarked it the next day, bought the URL. Part of it was you had to look up, we are looking for 5 social platforms, a URL, and a trademark. And we looked it up, went 7 for 7, got all the handles, the URL, the trademark, and the rest was history.
And the other thing, when we talk about this deal coming together, Justice, the online access to be able to build something online was important, but you've touched on something else here, which is the people. I mean, the people, the staff that came with this business, we could not do it without them. Every one of them is crucial. Interacting with them, they are the best, but every single one of them is the best interaction I have ever had in a sunglass environment.
Mm-hmm.
And I would almost say in a sales environment.
Yeah.
Period. Because
I was almost going to interrupt you and say, I haven't been in a lot of sunglass environments, but I don't know if I've ever been in a retail environment where I have a better experience than what we give at Shades.
Yeah. And I mean, I walked in, I would randomly walk into the stores while we were in discussions and meet people, meet the managers and meet the people who are running the store. And I just found them to be, I would hire every one of them to help me run any business that I started. I just found them to be absolutely fantastic. And really, you know, the opportunity for us to create stability and runway for these folks to continue to grow in their careers and to be able to partner with them in advancing their own growth and evolution and careers. Just, I mean, it's a privilege on my end to be associated with these folks.
Mm-hmm.
And even as a coach, observing from the outside, again, my son worked in sales at one of the stores this summer, and just to shout out Mike Corbell, to see the notes that Jake had, the sales training notes, and I've been in sales training for 30 years. It was exceptional, to the point where, like, I don't even know that Mike knows how good it is, and his ethic and his ability to be able to teach Jake in a way that wasn't overwhelming, but had solid information in it, but also modeling it in a way that Jake, as a 19-year-old, I mean, he's a sharp kid, but he could learn by observing as opposed to just burying him with verbiage, for example. Mm-hmm. He was able to kind of mete it out to Jake in a way that Jake could learn it and level up quickly. And not just my son, other employees that they're onboarding. That sales training process right now, we need to continue to study it and bottle it if we could sell it, because what they're doing is already exceptional.
Yeah, I watched Corbell and Jake interact this summer, and some of the other folks who were in that store, Scott down in Stone Harbor, some of the other folks we've got that are kind of in teaching role for us, and it's been just fascinating to watch. Like when I came into sales, I was given scripts, and I thought there was something magic in the scripts, and nobody told me any different. Like, so I literally walked into my first dozen meetings reading a script because I hadn't quite memorized it yet. Because I thought if you said these words in this order, then people would just surrender and give you their business.
Harry Potter incantation.
And so, you know, but meanwhile, what we're actually teaching young salespeople is that no, you've got to show up as your authentic self, and you're here to solve a problem. You're here to authentically care about the person that you're working with. You want this to be a great experience for them. You want this to be to them to benefit from this product. And you know, and then I go all the way back to May was involved in Herbalife, 25 years ago or something, and or more. And it was tell, show, try, do. Right. So the tell somebody what to do, show them how to do it, let them try it, and then let them do it. And so, there's so few opportunities that we have, and so few career paths that emerge for young folks coming out of college these days where they can actually do that. Right. Because I mean, we joke about, I was just joking with somebody yesterday about one of our clients that, there's the median age of a financial advisor is 62 years old. So 50% of all financial advisors are 62 years of age or older, which means there's going to be fewer financial advisors 10 years from now. Mm-hmm. But when you bring somebody into this industry at 22, 23, 24 years old, nobody wants a 24-year-old financial advisor, right?
22-year-old pastor or 22-year-old film coach.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. There's some things you just don't want somebody to, I want you to.
How do you get that life experience? And I love what these guys are doing there. You think about a Lexi Beatty, who was in retail before, but you bring her in there with some of that training and what she's been able to do and grow this past year, and now even a new role at the new shop there for you guys, Justice.
She I mean, again, she's right on the other side of this wall somewhere, and so Lexi is doing. We're doing this really cool thing where the Shades experience is about the ability to engage with someone and sell them on the, like, if you do it with cars and you do it with other high end, right? The way they even do it at Apple. We're not just a retail store, we're a sales environment. Now we sell it our way. We don't want to be pushy. We don't want to feel like a car dealership, but it is a full experience. Well, if we're going online and we're being true to our brand, well, we need to bring that. So we have this software where you can hop on a video chat, share screens, and actually navigate the whole website with them. Well, if you engage with Lexi's not only a great salesperson and employee, but she's also a skilled and trained actress, and even worked for a production company doing characters at parties and events where you're not allowed to break character from the moment you show up to the moment you leave, which means the ability to hop on a video call with a complete stranger with a moment's notice and answer their questions in this very room. She'll be next week answering questions and selling product. And she is just the warmest, most bubbly. Trust me, she is the person. If you're listening to this, go to 96 Shades right now, request a video chat, get on with Lexi. You will see what I mean. But
and when 400 people are in queue trying to get Lexi on the phone.
Yeah, right. Well, then we'll just get another one of our people. But
that's the entrepreneurial journey. We got to solve problems, Justice.
Yeah, right. She's also helping produce a lot of our TikTok and short video engagements online, which, left to our own devices, the three of us would have no idea what to do. And so we look at our top competitor online in regards to third-party retailing, who we estimate is doing tens of millions of dollars in revenue. They've been selling online for 20 years.
Wow.
They have been posting on TikTok consistently at a quality that I imagine involves multiple full-time salaries of production people. When I say quality, I mean video quality, editing quality.
Yeah.
Posting consistently for 4 years with 250 followers, which, if you know anything about TikTok, that's a disgrace.
I might have that.
Right. I'm not naming them by name, so I can say it. That is an absolute disgrace.
Yeah.
And the reality is, I think that's what happens when a mid-size 8-figure company has a $250,000 chief marketing officer. And I would put all my money on my 19-year-old TikTok creator who has 20,000 followers herself just by posting stuff in her bedroom, who is, I'm watching her every day come in and combine what she learned from Mike Corbell and what she knows about TikTok, and creating daily content that we're calling Shade School, where she is going online and teaching the internet in fun and engaging ways about how to take care of sunglasses, pick the right sunglasses, and then say, by the way, come visit our website, engage with me, and I'll help you find your perfect pair. And I don't care how much money that other company is paying their marketing team. I put all my money on our 19-year-old. And that is what we say about all of our businesses, and especially Shades, is we're sort of this island of misfit toys, where if you come to me right out of school I was talking to a friend yesterday who's coming out of school with an MBA, and she's looking for a job opportunity, and I'm telling her what she shouldn't settle for because of what her resume is worth and her experience is worth. And I said, but candidly, I'm not that person to hire you. I'm looking for the person that has your value without the degree. Because we are looking to build this team of people who took these alternate routes, right? Went to nursing school, but wants to get involved in a startup. And we are trying to put aces in their places and create value, not for the sake of packing or padding our own pockets, our own wallets. I want to see them making way more than they could by taking the traditional route. But because it's what we did, right? It's, even though we have degrees, it's Wayne took an atypical route. I took an atypical route. Our families, our children, the next generation's taking an atypical route. And we are just really passionate about giving people opportunities to take these atypical routes. And I sort of think we do a lot of commission-based things, a lot of profit-sharing-based opportunities with our staff. And I see it as a step into entrepreneurship. Hey, listen, we've taken the risk. We've done the things that limit 999 out of 1,000 people from going down this route. but we want to give you opportunities and a safe way to experience entrepreneurship by jumping in with us, taking a little bit of risk, and creating value for yourself to etch out a long-term opportunity. And Lexi's an example of that. Bryce is an example of that. And it's awesome to have a company built on that.
Yeah, and Justice, I think that that question of helping people envision a different future is consistent with the theme of this podcast, where we're envisioning employees. And in another episode, Trent and I were talking with somebody else about this idea that new ways of learning, new ways of growing and becoming is so crucial, and helping to envision our staff. And Trent and I were talking in a different podcast episode about this idea that as people grow, leaders can either cap those people. They can, I guess it might've been Brad Johnson and I were talking about the idea that on a DBDL podcast, that the idea that a leader can either envision his people and empower them and enable them. And if that means they stay here for their whole career and just keep crashing through ceilings and helping us grow and become as the organization that we have the potential to become, great. If at some point that means they've got to leave this organization, well, we want them walking out the door with us in their cheering section, with us possibly as business partners, but definitely supporters and encouragers. And because they're going to go out and do great things. And we want to be a part of that journey and enable them. And that's ultimately what Envisioning More is all about, right? So,
just to celebrate you guys and what you're doing with 96 Shades, Justice, as you're talking about the journey of how do we deepen that brand. I love that. As opposed to a rebrand, it's a deepening. It invokes the idea of Michelangelo's David. And the story tradition is that Michelangelo found this slab of rock, and he said that he saw the David in the rock and just took away everything that was not the David, but it was already there. And so he just chiseled and refined it, and then revealed the David that was already in that slab of marble. And in many ways, we're evolving that brand, but it was there. That 96 Shades is really cool, and I'm really excited for you guys. The best days are still ahead, man.
Yeah, part of it is I need to give a shout out to my wife real quickly, who has just been my rock, as I have constantly been bitten off more than my family signed up for. And I've had to, sort of go back to the well for more support and more energy. And we have both worked through that as a couple. And she has also stepped up to be just such a supportive rock. I was partnering with Wayne before I was even married, and Wayne was envisioning me for finding the kind of partner that would partner with you in your journeys and in your vision, and have shared vision, right? We're not trying to, we're not looking for cheerleaders who just stand there and do our bidding, right? I think we all have wives and partners who are strong and make us better in their own ways. But the reality is my wife is way different than Wayne's wife. And so my wife doesn't partner with me or support me necessarily the way Wayne's wife does, but she does it in a way that is beautiful for our partnership and what I need. And so part of what she does in partnering with me is actually keeping me grounded, keeping me balanced, making me put my phone away, and making me right. Her partnership is less, let's dream together, and more, you do enough dreaming. You do too much dreaming. So go ahead and put the phone away, and let's watch The Grinch for the fourth time this week.
Feet in the ground, heads in the clouds, right? Yeah.
And understand what you don't know is that I've asked May to work in my office for probably 25 years, and I keep getting no's.
Hard
no. So.
Well, that's the cool thing about this is my wife is actually an incredibly talented entrepreneur. She owns her own wedding photography business. She owns her own online retail store where she has done just unbelievable. She doesn't realize how good she is
so
at her online marketing. So as we've been doing this, she's kind of like, again, this whole ethic of work is too much. Her support for me is helping me balance. And so as we're launching online, I've been asking her to get involved. Well, she's She has graciously agreed to varying degrees and is starting to get involved. But this is the first time where she is now coming into the office 1 or 2 days a week. And I am watching her do her thing, but with my brand. And it has been just an unbelievable treat because she is so talented. She's coming in and she is just bulldozing us in the best ways with creative direction and creative vision, and supporting the brand in this online initiative. And so part of it is I wouldn't know what to do. And she comes in with, got to do this, got to do this, got to do that. And she is helping me bring this brand to life. And it's really cool because it's the first time we are really partnering professionally. And she has just been an absolute rock. So she was a rock in her support of me, but now she is being a rock in her partnership with me. And that has been a really fun treat.
Well, Hannah and Justice Volz have never done anything halfway in your lives. So May and I got started, and like we waited 7 years before we brought a kid into the house, and it brought the child into the world first, and then brought her home. But you guys had a foster kid within months of getting married, if not weeks of getting married, and so you were engaging in serving others and bringing children into the home and pouring into next generation at a time when May and I were just grinding on the business. And so, you know, in some sense, you guys are your souls will still forge together in the fires that you fight together, but your fires and you added the complexity of family way earlier than May and I did.
Nazi and then double down with Poppy. I'm going to say also like seemingly months later. So 2 kids.
Yeah, we
year one.
Our family dynamic was strange because we started like within months when we were doing, as we were getting licensed for foster care, we were doing some brief respite stints, and we formally got licensed and took in our first long-term placement about 14 months after we got married. Now, what we didn't know, because then a month later we took in our second placement, so we had a 1-year-old boy and a 1-year-old girl. What we didn't know is that 2 years later, the world would shut down and we wouldn't be allowed to leave our house for months and months.
Right.
As well as our only sources of revenue being weddings and tourism would both completely shut down. Right. And by the way, the $1 million in expenses over the next 6 months weren't going away. Mm-hmm. And so here we are trapped. We actually had the foresight to, before the world shut down, go stay at my brother's. We packed for 2 weeks and we ended up living in their basement for 7 months. Just because our kiddos were so much work that we knew just the 4 of us living in our 1,000 square foot apartment up in Bordentown, New Jersey would be chaos. So we chose a different kind of chaos to partner with my brother and his wife and their 5 kids. And we did crazy life together all summer. But at times it was definitely, once again, it was the foolishness of our youth and confidence, sort of, Wayne, what you referenced, what we believe to be that God ordained planning of something we wouldn't encourage or counsel for someone, where we were 5 years ago. But also the beautiful family that we've created, the things that we've learned along the way is obviously we wouldn't trade anything for the world. And so much. I mean, Justice, from the atypical education, that you've expressed and shared to going the traditional route to with nursing education and then going, this just is not for me, and then fighting the sunk cost fallacy to say, hey, we're gonna do something different, to taking risks, to do the first Liberty Escape Room, and then just not even a year later, hey, let's open on the Ocean City Boardwalk, to, hey, there's a spot at 11th Street that's going to take 3 shops, and it's a much bigger nut than we've taken down. So you have built and continue to show a level of resilience and willingness to put yourself out there that is absolutely crucial for the entrepreneurial journey. And we build armor, right? We build muscle, we build
calluses. The next time we get punched in that way and that way and from that side of the business or whatever else it is, we're going to be stronger. We're going to be better. We'll be smarter in how we approach it. We'll have better defense mechanisms in place, more safety nets. But you don't learn that you need those things until you go through it, and you got to live it. And, I'm just incredibly proud of the guys that you and Josh have become. And I can't wait to see, what happens next. So we're probably coming to the end of our time, but we always try to ask one final question. If there's one thing you could leave our listeners with, Justice, in the area of envisioning more, what would it be?
Yeah. I think the thing that I have been exploring recently, just as we envision more for what our long-term goals are, and Wayne, even as my partner, these are conversations I've had with Bryce, and to be honest, this is a new clarity point for me. So it is hopefully it isn't too jarring to you, but I've been thinking about, as we personally are envisioning more is the three of us collectively is so built into our faith and our worldview and our mission oriented goals to serve and honor our Creator and in ways that positively impact the world and the kingdom of God and fulfill our joy as well. Not that we're automatons, but that we're joyful in our roles in that. And so what is even getting connected with a group of Christian CEOs that Trent has connected me with, and just envisioning what does it look like for an entrepreneur to maintain their balance and their priorities. And so in that, Wayne, one of the conversations I've been having a number of times is I think an entrepreneur can grow with I see sort of three different goals. And I think one of them is should be built into all of us, but I think the other two, you almost choose a path to a degree. And one is, so the first is use your business explicitly for ministry purposes. So, in ways that we can use our platform just to give back, make an impact, spread the message that we want to spread, whatever it may be. And that can come into, when you're selling pretzels on the Ocean City Boardwalk, you can only do that in so many ways, but maybe you do an initiative here or a fundraiser here. The second is build your business in such a way to generate wealth and use that wealth to build into the mission and vision of what matters to you. And the third is build an infrastructure and generate wealth in order to carve out the time and freedom to accomplish the ministry and the vision that you want to accomplish. And I think, Wayne, I know you do it, like you do all three. But I know your driving force is that you generate wealth to multiply what you could give on your own, to support all of these partners simultaneously. Now, I've also seen Wayne stacking chairs and cleaning up and shoveling at small church work days, and he is also willing to sacrifice. The reality is every minute that Wayne is working, he is generating crazy amounts of wealth. So if you see Wayne Wagner doing a small task, you should be putting that in dollar terms of what he's sacrificing to serve in that way. And I have been carefully thinking, well, what do I want my entrepreneurial goals to look like as I envision? So for me, I actually feel like I'm going more into that category of there are whether it be foster care or church ministry or inner city ministries that are associated in our area and with our church, that my long-term goal is becoming more and more that we build out such a rich infrastructure and family business that I do have the time and freedom to do ministry in a number of ways. And the reality is I think our world needs both. I think we need Wayne generating such daunting goals and ridiculous amounts of wealth that we can support so much further than we ever could on our own. But I also think we need those of us who say, I'm actually going to spend a period of time creating wealth so that I can have the freedom of time and energy to go do ministry. Because while the average person is trapped 9 to 5, I have the freedom to go do those things. And so as we envision more, I am trying to keep those things on the forefront of my mind, do all three to degrees, but sort of lock in of, well, what is my main motive going to be in growth? Because if my main motive in growth is just my own success and my own wealth, then I believe I have not envisioned more, I've envisioned less. And so trying to stay true to those 3 pillars and carve out my own path has been an important part of this journey for me.
Yeah, we use, thank you so much for that, Justice. This has been a great conversation, but one of the things that just to put a bow on this is that you're talking about, you use the term ministry and we use the term ministry a lot, but really it's advancing our values, right? And everybody who's accomplishing anything is going to have a set of values that they are trying to advance. And the beautiful thing about the society and economy and environment that we live in here in the U.S. is that, we're free to have different values and we can support one another and encourage one another. We live in such a polarized society that is so politicized and polarized that, the extremes get so much attention. But the fact of the matter is all of us should be advancing and becoming more, envisioning more, and then using our platform to advance conversations about our values to make a positive dent in the universe. And look, I have clients that are, environmentalists, and they know more about the environmental movement and carbon gas emissions and green energy and versus dirty energy and all that kind of stuff. I learned so much from my conversations with them. And they're using their wealth to advance their values. And that's, as a financial advisor, that's what we do, is to help our clients not just stack dollars, not just stack another 1,000 or another million, but to activate that activate that in the direction of their values and the positive dent in the universe that they want to make. So thank you so much for sharing with us today, Justice. This is great. And it really gives us a couple of thoughts here at the end of it specifically about how to envision more. And, what you're speaking to is this idea that it's so much more important what we leave in our kids than what we leave to our kids. And that's something we say a lot about around here because, we want our kids to embody the values. It's more important that we pass on our values and of the innate value and dignity of every human being, and that they're created in the image of God and with a God consciousness. And then we're endowed by our nation says are endowed by the Creator with certain inalienable rights. And we're also given a responsibility of stewardship and stewarding our lives.
Yeah.
Right? So thank you so much. Trent, any final thoughts from you?
I just love having, again, a front row seat to watching both of you guys collaborate together. And it's certainly impacting my family, and just continue to root for you, Justice. You got this, brother.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate both of your support and mentorship. Wayne as a partner, Trent as a coach. Couldn't do it without you guys. So really excited to have you as friends, brothers in Christ, and business partners.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you for listening to the Envision More podcast with Wayne Wagner Jr. of Visionary Wealth Management. We hope you were encouraged and inspired by the conversation today. If you want to dig deeper into the show notes or Wayne's work at Visionary, you can find us at envisionmore.com. That's Envision with a Z. Advisory services are provided through Wealth Plan Investment Management. Wealth Plan Investment Management and Visionary Wealth Management are separate entities. The content is developed from sources believed to be providing accurate information. The information in this material is not intended as tax or legal advice. Please consult legal or tax professionals for specific information regarding your individual situation. The opinions and material provided are for general information and should not be considered a solicitation for the purchase or sale of any security. Thanks for listening.